Hello everyone and welcome in the last risk and management webinar for this third round of webinar. I hope you're all having a good day. As always, I, Alba, Keqa, will be hosting this risk management webinar. Before we start, I would like to inform you that PCB is organizing PCB Certified Advanced Audit Techniques event, which will take place in Stockholm, Sweden from June 27th to July 1st. For more information, visit our website pcb.com. Coming back to today's webinar, we will discuss the topic of governance, risk and compliance for SAP, reduce cost and risk with governance across your information system. The presenter of this topic is Mr. Matthew Roseau, Director of Business Development for In Fidem, a Canadian company based in Montreal, Quebec. Please be reminded that at the end of the webinar, we have question and answer session. Therefore, please write down any questions you may have during the webinar, and we will try to respond them at the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for your attention and enjoy the session. Matthew, you may start the presentation.
Thank you very much, Alba, and hi everyone. Thank you for being here today in this beginning of summer in order to watch this webinar about governance, risk and compliance for SAP. So I'm introducing myself again, Mathieu Roseau, Director of Business Development for In Fidem. After a few words before starting about In Fidem, we are working in the area of governance, risk management and compliance since 10 years ago now. Our mission is to support organizations in their businesses through the protection of one of their most valuable assets, information. So we have established 5 expertise that enable us to innovate. So governance, risk and compliance, helping you over your security regulation, wherever it is. Identity analytics and intelligence, as Gartner named it. We are going to see that today together, also with the ERP security, and which is one of our expertise, and the cyber monitoring, which is incident management and incident response. We have a team for that. Also with the current trend in the security attack like the ransomware and cryptoware. So we have some tools to prevent that and to help and to understand with our fraud management and forensic investigation, so that the legal proof for an electronic felony. So we have all that is required to provide a 360-degree security. And security, of course, it's a big issue, even if not all in the whole scope of a firm or not all the C-level management is aware of that, but security is a business problem. You can see that the reports of all the data breaches, the data loss, cyber criminality that are multiplying these days, more and more becoming frontline news. You can name it. We can have big bank like JP Morgan. You can have state like the LuxLeaks data leaks. You can have a big company like we had the past 2 days. So it's never stop, and each time for those companies, it's several pillars that are impacted. Finance, reputation, the compliance side also, and the costs of those cyber criminality from stolen data continues to rise, and years after years we still have those problems. So it's really an issue that we can stop those problems to happen, and the companies continue to focus most of their investments on the external fraud application, despite the fact that internal fraud is the most larger problem. So according to PwC, 6% of frauds were internal, caused by employees who took advantage of their user access to commit their fraud. And it's also the same thing for all the audit challenge that Deloitte, by example, in their report shows. It's always about access rights and access privilege. So in this context today of, by example, SAP, it's important to realize what is going on here, that we these risks are committed by employees and internal staff. So it's mostly an executive, college educated, here inside from 3 to 5 years, and their fraud committed are the most pernicious because these guys know the house and where to look, of course. So it can be former employees, it can be contractors, former contractors, and the big problem is the ability to keep history of access demands or movement in order to deactivate it then. So today, first, the definition of risk in the SAP context. So a risk is an opportunity for physical loss, fraud, process disruption, or productivity loss that occurs when individuals exploit a weakness. So a risk is a combination of two functions that can lead to a fraud. So it's not, by example, authorized for a manager to accumulate the function of his team or simply to be able to execute and after that to control or say, okay, the situation right now is correct. So that's why you can see that after in the rest of the presentation, but on all the side of what is going on in the SAP, the display function or reports at this point are not risky, of course. So when you have risk, you have to manage it, and for the management of risk in SAP, you have some concern. One of them is the possibility to address risk in a comprehensive and consolidated approach. By example, how to identify, evaluate, and compensate for risk across departments operating in silos, or simply how to access and manage all data that will impact my risk, new data in several departments. How can I get that consolidated on the same dashboard, let's say. You have also the fact that you need to increase the visibility of the impact of risk on performance. How to assess the impact of risk in terms of quality and in terms of quantity. And also how to model different compensation plans of my risk to make sure to put in place the best response plan. You have also to get the ability to automatically monitor the key risk, because of course you have a lot of them, and how you can get continuous monitoring that can reduce the risk of events. How you can compensate your key risk before they impact your performance, by example. And the last one is the meeting of your requirements for your regulation. It can be your directive, it can be your internal policy, your auditor policy, anyway, that the fact on how can you be sure that the effectiveness of internal control are good, internal control and risk management. So on the customer side, of course, what we can see is that you have a lot of issues, of course, when you have to operate those risks. One of the first one, of course, is that risks event become loose events. Because you have to identify and mitigate risk, and sometimes you have the inability to do so. So how can you proactively do this identification before events happen, before the risk loses, and event that can impact your performance? And also, most of the time, you don't have integration of risk management in the corporate strategy and the operational business processes. Sometimes, of course, risk management activities are too costly because it's based on Microsoft Office, and it's inefficient, it's inadequate, and it's based on manual processes, not auditable. So manual activities for risk management across multiple entities leads to limited visibility and low ROI. And the last key risk issue for customer is the limited ability to prioritize and manage the most critical risk, because that leads to incur on non-aligned action plan with strategy. And it's a limitation also of the ability to analyze the impact of risk on business processes and how the risk will interfere with each other, of course. So in order to cover those risks, it's better to have an SOG control plan, of course. An SOG control plan, which is, let's say, a repository of best practices and common audit rules based on several common security control. So your SOD control plan, which can be an SOD matrix, usually you have been helped by a big four company like BDO, like Deloitte, PwC, or other, and they can help you on that. But it must be each time adapted in relevant activity for the company, because the real issue is the capability to identify conflict, and you will have each time a struggle regarding the false positives and how to deal in this information system, dealing with the entire conflict by defining profiles who will lead to define a large number of particularly complex profile on this user management process. So you have, for, by example, small company, limited in size, combination of responsibilities is inevitable. So it will get your management of SOD rules even harder to implement and to follow. So especially what most SOD issue SAP customers are facing. So what we have seen, and most of the time, it can be arranged in three conflict types in SOD risk. First one, that the core model misconception. So SAP core model are often designed before SOD projects. So and SOD awareness. So that's one misconception for the core model. And the SOD best practice building rules mostly are not followed during the build phase. So you have no real SOD challenge during the maintenance phase, because it's theoretical most of the time. The second conflict type is the user rights assignment, who is generating incompatibilities, because you have no real process owner for user rights challenge in companies. You have no challenge on the organizational perimeter. So by example, this person has those rights in this organization. Is it legitimate? Is it normal? Who can say that? And you have also no frequent global user assignment review. Is it normal that this person has this right in this business unit, etc.? Who can tell, and how can I make people tell? And the third one is the rights assignment process witnesses. By example, active account assigned to people who left the company or people who changed their responsibility, so they moved into a new branch, for example. You have also over-allocated rights against job title and responsibilities. You have also rights not updated after reorganization. So once again, it's a movement inside the company. So you have fusion, merging. It's a real issue, of course, when those things happen. And you have no organizational perimeter assignment approval. So that's all the process that are really hard, even outside the SAP world, of course, but it can be even harder in the SAP context. So in this identification of struggle and best practice, we can have a process principle in 5 steps in order to get some risk mitigation and remediation. So that's the good news, of course. So the first step is to check the adequation between theory, of course, and real life. So it will be based on your SOG discrepancies, and it will lead to update your risk matrix. After that, you can adapt your world model accordingly of what you have been changed just before. After that, on the third step, you can validate your user role assignment and role combination regarding also your SOD rules. So that's methodology where on the fourth step, you will ensure that your roles are aligned with your organization rules, because it doesn't make sense to have one without the other. Of course, it depends on the job, it depends on your perimeter of authorization management and context. Of course, we can have the possibility to check on the context side if the person can do that, and in the context, no, this time she can't do that. And the last step is the implementation of complementary controls in order to mitigate the risk. So that's a life circle for your risk matrix in order for each time to follow your business, to follow the changes occurring into your company. But of course, it's a struggle, and right now, like we have seen, most of the company have some difficulties to implement because there is not so much methodology based on tools that are easy, that are costless, or at least be quite ready to be implemented into your company. So for us, in order to reduce the risk on the governance side for SAP, we have a proposition. The proposition is a tool which is called Brainwave IGRC. And the mission of this tool is to help you to identify and mitigate all the risk related to the user as a permission on the IT system. So the idea will be to know who is working for you, your employees, your contractor, your trainees, where they are working, so their belonging organization, the job title, and what they can do with logs, with all the real-life access, and also the permission level on application on-premise, cloud application, etc., and what they have been allowed to do through the security policies and the access granting workflows. So all those information will be mixed, and we will ensure that it's consistent and applies the least privilege principle and enforcing segregation of duty. So it's very important in this SAP control. So we are talking about a European company, so it's French-based. We have office in Canada too with this solution, more than 60 customers since the creation 5 years ago. 3 weeks ago it was named again a cool vendor thanks to Gartner. I've been in a Magic Quadrant of IAM also, and the cool vendor 2 times, and vendor to watch since then. So it's a solution which is working in the, let's say, thanks to Gartner, the identity analytics and intelligence sector. The way Gartner sees the identity is the identity and access administration. So you have the first level is management, so account creation, modification, delete. After that you have the governance, so report and indicator evolving through time. At the end you have intelligence and BI, dashboard, SOD control, and fine-grained analysis. Fine-grained analysis is where we're gonna see. But what we propose is to have a shortcut directly to identity analytics, not having the hard way of implementing a connector and having a very heavy solution. So it will be really quick to have the view of what is going on thanks to audit controls on my SOD metrics for SAP, and to provide those information to the manager on the business side. So you have some added value on this type of project because it will get to the monitoring automatically of dozens of risk-oriented controls with an interface business-oriented. So on this side, the kind of benefits you can retrieve are that you can have fine-grained SOD analysis and cleanup of your core model, of your user model. You can navigate through users, permission, transaction, discrepancies, but also you can have dashboard on global review, trend, problem metrics, insight, and also you can have a review processes on your transaction or simply on your SOD controls. So it's really, really a game-changing right here, because in few weeks you can import your SOD matrix, you can import your permission, and you can build with that a cube where you are working. So in this tool you have a methodological approach where on the first phase you are making the review of your existing SOD matrix. So you import it, and after that you clean up the core model, and at the end you can implement remediation plan based on the tool. So you can have some pilot on that, and it's really simple. So what we're gonna do right now is to see the web portal right now. So you have a whole set of reports already set up, already out of the box available to use, and those reports you can navigate freely into the data without complexity, and you can add some reports easily too. So it's a full-based application where you have all your SOD, you have all your reports in a simple way, because that's the way the product is managed by our customer. So we can show the risk, by example, by organizational unit. We can split the view, dispatching the risk by families, or percentage of user having the risk, by example, and all those displayed are already available and not from scratch. It's something that can say, okay, right now I can take action because I have imported all those information. So you can get an overview dashboard like this of your risk, security control, and discrepancies. So you can also see the top 3 risks of roles, organization, job, etc. So that's the beauty of the thing. It's not like, by example, you have the obligation of get on SAP GRC. By example, it's not that SAP GRC is a bad thing. It's simply for a lot of customers too expensive or too big to be implemented into their organization or IT organization. So right here we have a solution which is quite light. We speak about some months, 3-4 months to be implemented, and you can have directly those views and those risks, or simply the unused account, which is what we can see just here. We had some customer who put aside €2 million thanks to that. And by example, and it's very important, the critical transaction monitoring, by example, you can see the number of accesses to critical transaction granted per organization or per jobs. So how many times those persons have been using those transactions over the time. So you can see them, and you can extract directly those information in the correct file format that you want in order to push them to the correct person, or to be able also to have a review of them. So you can build a 360 cartography on who does what, from permission to identities, identities to permission. You can identify your SOD issue, and you can just have to click on the icon that you have directly on your web-based interface. And regarding your standard control, to improve the quality of your SAP security model, you can have sleeping account, privilege account, critical profile and transaction, fine-grained transaction, or complex role, simple role. So all the SAP model is ready to work with this solution. And so on the, you can also identify the segregation of duty issue, like the statistic on SOD. You can investigate and get to the root cause analysis, or also to propose a remediation scenario. And so how is it working? So is it working thanks to data that are exported by some scripts, also ABAP scripts, by example, with SAP. So we take information from HR to get the people, to get the job titles, the organization tree. We get also information from Active Directory, the accounts, the groups, and from SAP we take ECC, SRM. We import the authorization model, the act of administration, and the logs. So by example, we have done a project where the question was, okay, I need to know with the 6 months tracking of logs, what have been done regarding this SOG matrix. And we have done this project. So it's very important that you can import your SOG matrix, your existing SOG matrix, and also your security policies. So everything will be collected, consolidated, analyzed, and after that you can get to the result and see the review and the remediation thanks to the different dashboard and workflows that are provided with the information. So we will cross data from all those applications to get some SOG cross-application results. So it's very important. It's not only SAP, because maybe you have someone to get who is getting to an access to file share, and the same access leads to another risk regarding his authorization, the authorization model in SAP. So Brainwave, this solution for SAP, is using a business intelligence approach to secure the assets. So it's not only permission and user rights, it's also intelligence around organization, job title, commitments, also who have asked to change a permission for someone else, and why and for how long, etc. So it works by importing information into an identity model, so you have no connector for the technical side. It's very light, you have no agent on server, it's very quick, and it allows you to link the information from IT to business and to help to reduce the risk and to get some governance with those dashboard and reports, and it will get you on those benefits in less than 4 months, even if you have 5,000 people into your organization. So the idea is really to be able to see what is going on and how I can get to improve my SOD security in SAP, but also on those other critical applications that you can have in your IT system for a fraction of the cost of SAP GRC, by example, and especially that will permit you to have the project far more extended than only the SAP side for the governance in general in terms of access and permission for your business. So thank you everyone. I hope it was kind of interesting for you on this very specific side of governance for SAP. And yeah, Alba, maybe now it's time for questions, if we have some.
Thank you, Matthew, for this very informative webinar. We have here a question. It's saying that I'm seeking clarification regarding the definition of risk, especially the last part that refers to individuals exploiting a weakness. Why only a point when weakness is exploited? If you want, I can repeat the question.
I'm searching exactly the point of the question. What are in my slide? Yeah, I'm not so sure I've understood. I'm sorry.
Okay,
can you repeat it?
Yes, I will repeat it.
Okay.
I'm seeking clarification regarding the definition of risk, especially the last part that refers to individuals exploiting a weakness. Why only at a point when weakness is exploited? If this third
I can maybe I can I think I understood. It's true that using a weakness is a risk, of course. Prevent the weakness is better. So the idea is to be able to see, by example, the cleaning of the whole model will be interesting to prevent, by example, the risk of someone, or for processes side, by example, you know that there is no verification or double verification if someone is moving from an organization to another. And in this organization or on this type of job, you have some walls that are already set up, and this person will get new wall automatically without get rid of the previous one. So it will be more transaction available for him, and maybe at this time it will get to risk because he will be able to perform several action which is not supposed to do. So yeah, of course, the best way is to retrieve, that's a policy of least privilege. The best way is to retrieve as many as possible rights which are not necessary to the mission of your employees.
Thank you, Matthew, for this answer. At this time, we don't have any other question. It seems like your presentation was clear. So I want to thank you again for this excellent webinar, and I want to thank all the attendees as well who have joined us today. I hope your questions have been answered. I also want to inform you that this webinar is recorded and can be found on PCB YouTube channel and in our website as well. Additionally, PCB appreciates your comments and suggestions. Thus, I would kindly ask you to write down any suggestion you may have for the upcoming webinars. Looking forward to seeing you all in the 4th round of webinars, which will start from September with a very hot and informative topics presented by professionals of different fields. Thank you very much, Matthew, again, and we hope to see you again in the next round of webinars.
Thank you, Alba, and thank you, everyone. Have a good summer. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.